They liked the balance that they had in race.
Casey Kane, we congratulate him, his third career pole.
It's all three Hendrick Motorsports in the front.
There's a few movers and shakers out there.
Carl Edwards free falling for a couple of victory lane is Joey Logano.
Get the inside line on who's fast and who's last before setting your NASCAR fantasy race team lineup this weekend. This is the Inside Line on MRN.com. Presented by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your fantasy experts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Spin the roulette wheel. It's Talladega week here on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show. This is Robbie Mays. I'm Tyler Burnett, your 30-minute weekly stop for everything NASCAR fantasy racing. This is
and a lot of other stuff that has nothing to do with the sport.
We're coming off a Kansas win for Kevin Harvick, who stays perfect in elimination rounds of the chase. Harvick actually has won a race in 5 of the rounds. He's raced in 10 rounds, right, of this elimination-style chase format.
Sure.
And that's including championship races, which I count as one round.
Yeah.
He has 5 wins in 10 of those rounds. Pretty good.
That's why he's good at what he does. That's why he's a threat to win the championship now that we've gone to this elimination format. And, you know, he went to Kansas last weekend after the disappointment in Charlotte, and those guys were good when they needed to be good. And now they're moving on. And despite the fact that they've struggled at times this year, they're still a legitimate threat to win the championship going forward. And if you think about it, Tyler, there are 2 Chevrolets that are moving on to the round of 8. We thought that the round of 8 would be Toyotas. We thought the whole chase was going to be dominated by Toyotas after what they did the first 2/3 of the season. And the last few weeks, it's been the Chevrolets that have been up front.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Toyota wins this weekend as well, though anything can happen this weekend at Talladega. But if you look at what Kevin Harvick and Ronnie Childers has done, and I heard a soundbite earlier this week, they go into every race. It's not even they're not points racing. They're going out to win every single race. If they don't win, they're upset. And that's the kind of philosophy that you want on either a fantasy team or, you know, just your team in general. And, of course, I have to brag a little bit. I did pick Kevin Harvick to win last week. I was the only one in this office, including because I went to MRN.com and I saw you and Jeff and John Singler and all your picks. None of them had Kevin Harvick. And I'm like, what are you thinking? Are you going to answer or what?
I'll tell you what I tweeted you on Sunday. A broken clock is still right twice a day, except for yours, which is not set correctly.
Kevin Harvick has never been eliminated.
He's never been eliminated.
Format.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he was going to win at Talladega, so my next guess is he has to win at Kansas.
Sure. And he did, so good for him.
Winston Kelley is coming up on the show today, executive director of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He's also the lead pit reporter for the Motor Racing Network. We'll talk to him. He's seen many races at Talladega over the years. Yeah. A true historian, and he'll tell us some cool stats. I think I saw 25 years ago this week Dale Earnhardt won at Talladega, I think 1991. So Jeffrey Earnhardt is in the field this week, so that's kind of cool. But anyways, our teams are coming up next here on the Inside Line. We'll talk all Talladega. We'll spin the wheel and see what we get. So you're watching the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
Tyler and Robbie will be right back to talk more fantasy racing here on the Inside Line.
O'Reilly. A dead battery can leave you stranded, so get yours tested for free during Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Need a replacement? Purchase a Superstart Extreme or Superstart Platinum battery and get up to $25 in O'Reilly gift cards after a mail-in rebate. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Looking for winged sprint car coverage? MRN has you covered with Winged Nation. Tuesdays at noon Eastern, it's Winged Nation presented by Hercules Tire on MRN.com. Thursdays, check out the Winged Nation Weekend Preview podcast presented by Hefner Racing Products. Then on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Eastern, watch Winged Nation presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV. MRN's Winged Nation, your source for all things winged sprint cars.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
I feel like experience kind of outweighs youth.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
Kyle Busch driving for his life right now.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
Our lives are so much different than what people may think they are.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
We now return to the Inside Line with Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Looking at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series chase grid after Kansas, Jimmy Johnson, of course, winning at Charlotte, and then Kevin Harvick winning at Kansas. Matt Kenseth is third. Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Joey Logano, who is plus 0 points right now, tied with Austin Dillon. I'm guessing he has a tiebreaker because of wins.
He has the tiebreaker best on his best finish in the round.
Okay.
Which is how the tiebreakers work.
All right.
So if you look at that list, though, Tyler, you've got two guys that are locked, and you've got probably two guys who might feel pretty good, Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch. Carl Edwards, probably pretty good, but then Kurt Busch through Brad Keselowski, they're going to need to do some work this weekend, and then Chase Elliott is basically going to have to win.
Yeah, I circle 6 guys right there. You know, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, Denny Hamlin, Keselowski. Those 6, I don't even know what they need to do, but they are so close heading into a track that if you make one mistake, you could easily lose 25, 26 points and one wreck.
Here's the thing about Talladega that's different than Daytona. Talladega, the start-finish line is not centered in the tri-oval. At Daytona, the start-finish line is centered in the tri-oval. So at Talladega, more shenanigans tend to happen after you get from the tri-oval to where the start-finish line is, which is down closer to turn 1. We've seen guys running first finish 20th after something that happened in the tri-oval. We've seen guys who are running third win the race because of where the start-finish line is. So I think Talladega, if you're looking for a wild card of all wild card races, this weekend, the elimination races, not for just the Sprint Cup Series, but also tomorrow's Camping World Truck Series race, this is the wild card of wild cards.
With advancement on the line, you have so many drivers so close. If you miss this race this weekend, you should probably check your pulse because this is one that you are going to be glued to the radio, to the television. You have
both days.
Have to pay attention to this race because it's going to be huge. All right, let's start our fantasy teams. In my opinion, and I tweeted this out last week, going into this race, if there was a guy who needed to win, who had a must-win, there's only one guy in this field that I would feel comfortable with. Well, it just happens to be that he is 7 points out of the cutoff right now, and he doesn't need to win the race. He needs to finish well, but I think he has a great shot to win the race. I think it's Brad Keselowski. Keselowski is on my team this week. Listen, they don't actually have to win this race, like I just said, but to me, the best strategy, and we've seen it a couple times over the past few years, you ride around in the back and hope to avoid wrecks, you're most likely going to get caught up in a wreck.
Right.
You need to be out front, and I think they can do this right now. Keselowski has 3 wins in the last 8 plate races. 2 of them are Talladega wins. He also has a win in Daytona in July. He has 2 wins on plate tracks this year. That's just an unreal number. Keselowski's the best restrictor plate driver in the garage right now.
Right now, and that's always one of those things that we say every year. Who's the best one right now? Last year it was Dale Jr. This year it's obviously Brad Keselowski. Here's my thing. Brad is minus 7 points right now. Joey is in barely. I think the best strategy for them, Tyler, is to get hooked up with each other and go to the front. I don't think riding in the back is going to be an option for these guys. If they want to advance, if they want to move on, I think that the best strategy is to lock nose to bumper and go to the front and stay there all day long on Sunday.
Yeah. I think I'm okay with the situation Logano and Keselowski are in because they're both great plate racers.
Yeah.
I think Logano can race his way in pretty easily. I mean, he's +0 right now. He's in the chase field moving into the round of 8. So all he has to do is, like you said, attach to Brad Keselowski's bumper and go to the front of the field, which I think they can do. I assume you have Keselowski on your team as well?
I do have Brad on my team for 27-25 this week. So I think that's a good pick. I think that's a smart pick for everybody involved.
All right, who's your second?
My second pick is I'll go with Chase Elliott for position number 2. This driver has had a great car for the last 2 races at Charlotte and at Kansas. Just haven't had the finishes to be able to show for it. This team going to Talladega, I think they feel pretty good that they have the ability to win the race. And if you look at it from a fantasy perspective, if you're looking for laps led, only 188 laps on Sunday afternoon, so not many opportunities for laps led. Chase Elliott won the pole in the springtime, led 27 laps and finished in 5th. This team led by Alan Gustafson has won the last 3 poles here at Talladega Superspeedway. Chase in May and Jeff Gordon both races last year. So I think Chase Elliott is a good bet this weekend. I think they're going to go out and throw a Hail Mary. 25 points outside of the cutoff right now.
That's what makes this weekend so unique. I mean, we haven't seen this style of racing since July.
Mm-hmm.
So all the momentum you get. I mean, right now Chase obviously does not have the momentum because he hasn't finished well the past 2 races, but he has had fast cars, and they are bringing fast cars to the track. Well, all that momentum, you might as well just throw it out the window. This is a crapshoot this weekend, and you pretty much have to, Chase has to win this race, like you said.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's why I want him on my team, because he has to be up front the entire race. I mean, that car is capable of it. You just mentioned they qualify well. They're going to qualify well. He led 27 laps earlier this year of the 188. He finished 5th. I'm not sure if he wins the race, but I think he will have a great shot to win this race, and I think Chase Elliott will run towards the front of the field. That's why I think you have to, or think about having Chase on your fantasy team this week.
Yeah, I've definitely got Chase. I like the pick. I've also got his teammate Jimmy Johnson again this week. Nothing to lose here. And this is a strategy move for me. I've got him $1.50 cheaper than what he's currently worth. His Talladega record, not that great. He has won here twice in the spring of 2006 and the spring of 2011, but that's not why I'm keeping Jimmy Johnson on my team this week. I'm keeping Jimmy Johnson to save that money, to keep him cheaper than what he's currently worth, up $1.50 from when I picked him up, because Martinsville is next week where he's won 8 times, and Texas Motor Speedway is the week after that where he's won 6 times, including the last 2 fall races. So that's why I'm keeping Jimmy Johnson, even though he struggles at Talladega. 8 DNFs here in his career. That's why I'm keeping him on my team this week.
Yeah, that's a smart move. I thought about doing the same thing with Kevin Harvick, but I'm doing the same thing with Martin Truex Jr. And the reason is I actually like the way Truex runs at plate tracks. I mean, his last 3 finishes at Talladega, he has an average finish of 8th, which is better than pretty much everyone. Keselowski has a 30th place finish, but the other 2 were wins and a 4th place finish, I think. So he probably is somewhere up there. But Truex in the last 3 races hasn't wrecked at Talladega, which you go 3 races at Talladega and not wreck, you might as well knock on wood, because there's a chance you might wreck.
He used to wreck here every time we went to Talladega, too.
So Truex, I mean, he was inches away from winning the Daytona 500. I think he's smart. I think he knows he has to avoid a bad points day. I mean, right now he's 7th plus 13 from the cutoff line. I mean, 13 points is easy. You can lose that easily at Talladega. 1 wreck and you're done. So Truex, I think, will stay up front, and I think he will have a good week this week. He's on my team.
So like I said, you can lose 13 points from turn 4 to the start-finish line at Talladega, or you can gain 13. Really easy to do.
All right, the challenge this week will be picking guys at the bottom of your fantasy team. And the thing is, picking the guys at the bottom of your fantasy team, these guys have a potential to run better than your top 3 this week.
Absolutely.
And so your bottom 2 picks, spend them wisely, because you might have a good shot this week. So who are your bottom 2 picks?
I've got Ryan Blaney at $16, making his 50th Sprint Cup Series start this weekend. 4 starts at Talladega, 2 top 10s. He was 9th here back in May. And I'm going to round things out with Landon Castle. I had Chris Buescher at this spot for a long time, but I'm just going to trade one teammate for another. I feel like Landon's a better option on plate tracks. Chris has kind of struggled this year on the 3 plate races we've done, and Landon was here 11th here back in May, and his only career top 10 finish was here 2 years ago, 4th driving for Joe Falk.
I think that's 2 great picks. Blaney has been really good on restrictor plate, races. Landon Castle has been good at Talladega. So I think those are 2 really good picks. I have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. His worst finish at Talladega in 6 starts over his career is 26th. That's unheard of. If you can get a 26th throughout your career at Talladega, that's pretty unbelievable as your worst finish. He was good. He was good earlier this year. He was 16th. I'll take that. He was 9th in this race 1 year ago. He had a 3rd place finish 3 years ago. Ricky is a great plate racer. Let's just hope he can stay out of trouble. I have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on my team. I also have a guy who's making his first Cup start, and he's actually kind of known for plate racing. He's actually been on this show before, and that's Ryan Reed. He's starting in the 99 car for Roush Fenway Racing this weekend. I think that Roush Yates and Roush Fenway Racing have a good restrictor plate program. I think that Ryan Reed, if he potentially avoids wrecks throughout the day, he can get you a top 20. But I'm really kind of picking him just because he was on our show, and I think it's an interesting start. And if something happens out of it, then I look like a genius.
I like Stenhouse. I'm not sure about Reed.
Well, maybe I won't start him. We'll see how it goes.
Well, he's got to qualify first.
If he qualifies in the top 10, top 5, maybe not, because if he gets caught up, he's going to lose a lot of points. But other options at the bottom, I mean, you have Cole Witt, you have David Reagan, you have Matt DiBenedetto, who I've had most of the year.
I think Jeffrey Earnhart is a good option.
Yeah, not a bad option because he's probably not going to qualify well.
Yeah.
And if he runs up to 25th, 30th from a 39th, 38th starting spot, then that's going to get you some points. So, yeah, think about some of those guys. But I just wanted to throw Ryan Reed out there just to think about it because Roush Yates has a good restrictor plate program, in my opinion.
I'm going to avoid Ryan Reed. I like the Stenhouse pick, though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I've got Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Blaney, Landon Castle.
Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. My final pick, I have Ryan Reed right now, but stay tuned on Twitter, and maybe I'll tell you if I change that pick. All right, one more, or we have 2 more breaks, right?
Yeah.
2 more breaks. Winston Kelley on the other side of the break.
You still don't know the format for this show.
Winston Kelley is on the other side of the break. You're watching the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
We'll be right back in just a moment to talk more fantasy racing with Tyler and Robbie here on the Inside Line.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable no matter where you are.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are designed to keep up with you no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you, so you can go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable all day long.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans, the most comfortable jeans you will ever wear. Try on a pair today.
Wrangler, be comfortable.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
Looking for a great spot for an affordable beach vacation or the perfect romantic retreat? Let the Plaza Resort and Spa help. A vacation on the world's most famous beach is sure to help you reconnect with the ones you love. Discover the grand tradition of hospitality and service on Daytona Beach. The Plaza Resort and Spa is the perfect choice for any type of getaway. Book online at plazaresortandspa.com or call 1-855-DB-PLAZA. That's 1-855-327-5292.
Now it's back to Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett on the Inside Line.
The first Sprint Cup Series practice from Talladega is coming up here in about an hour and a half, which is at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then final practice is today as well at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then Sprint Cup Series qualifying will be tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's 3 Central, which is Talladega time. And then, of course, the truck race will be before that at 1 p.m., and then the Sprint Cup Series race, which now has a sponsor, the Hellmann's 500, will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. A guy you can hear on that broadcast is the lead pit reporter for the Motor Racing Network. He's also the executive director of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Winston Kelley joins us. Winston, how are you?
I'm doing great. Just looking forward to some exciting racing as we always have at Talladega.
Did you have a nice week off? Well, you probably worked, didn't you?
I did. I actually worked on a community project on Friday, playground build with our parent company that the NASCAR Hall of Fame is a part of, and I went to the mountains for a couple of days up to Blowing Rock. It was actually my first 2 days off since August the 21st, so I did virtually nothing. I did watch the race and listen to the race, but it was nice.
Wow, that sounds pretty nice.
Yeah. Winston, we're going to Talladega this weekend, which basically you can just draw numbers out of a hat. And if you look at the trends for this race, only 3 drivers have finished in the top 10 in more than one race in a row. Clint Bowyer, Brad Keselowski have 2 straight top 10s. Also, Kurt Busch with 2 straight top 10s. Where in the world do you start to pick a team for Talladega this weekend?
Well, I go back to what you said. You know, you can kind of pull names out of the hat, and I think depends on what kind of league you're in. if you're in NASCAR.com, you go with the percentages and who tends to do what. If you're in a league like Yahoo, this is a great time to look at driver allocation. You can pick a Landon Castle that's in a C group. You can pick an A.J. Allmendinger in a B group, or somebody that you haven't picked as much. So I think it depends on the league that you're in. And I also think you've got to look at where the chase drivers are and how much risk they're going to take or not going to take. You've got guys like Chase Elliott that, he's got to run up front and he's got to win the race, but is that going to potentially cause him to be in an accident versus, if you get a bunch of top 10 finishes at a racetrack like Talladega, you're going to score very well. So do you pick some of the guys in the chase that have a little bit of buffer, but they don't want to finish 38? So, you may end up with a top 10 finish.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I like the point you made about allocating picks. And, for instance, if you haven't used Greg Biffle all year, this would be a good chance to use him and maybe save someone else during the chase. As far as what you think, as far as strategy-wise, I mean, Brad Keselowski is pretty unreal right now at restrictor plate tracks. When you look at some of these guys, are they going to run around maybe towards the back of the field, or is their strategy going to be to avoid the wreck to try to stay towards the front? What have you seen the past couple of years?
I think you see a little bit of both. One of the funniest stories that I ever heard is Bobby Labonte had taken that strategy, he and Tony Stewart, and he was talking to his wife and Jimmy Makar and Jimmy Makar's wife Patty after that happened, and Bobby's wife at the time said, what were you guys doing running the back? And he said, well, that was the plan. Well, they got in a wreck, and she said, well, that wasn't a very good plan. He said, I went on to make a mistake and made the mistake of saying, well, I don't tell you how to do things around the house, so maybe you shouldn't tell me how to drive the race car. And he said, I realized that was a pretty big mistake. But the point is accurate in that we've had guys ride around in the back and do very well, and guys not. I think what we have seen in recent years, it is so much harder to get to the front. They can't ride in the back and then decide with about 15 to go to the front. You're going to have to go to the front with about 40 to go.
Yeah.
If you are able to do that. And if you lose the draft and you don't have a caution flag, you're screwed. I mean, it's that simple. So I think we will see less riding in the back, and we've seen less of that in the last few years. It cost Kyle Busch being able to advance 2 years ago. He was riding around in the back trying to conserve points. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think we're going to see more guys who feel like they can control their own destiny if they're in the top 10. But if things get crazy and they start to get shuffled back, then they're not going to root and gouge if it's in the first three quarters of the race.
So, Winston, with all that being said, who are you going to start in Sunday's Hellmann's 500 at Talladega?
Well, I'm looking at guys like a Brad Keselowski that you guys already mentioned that has been so strong, and Denny Hamlin in the last few years. And Matt Kenseth tends to be very consistent. So those are three of the guys that I would consider in that A group. You mentioned Greg Biffle. I think he is on the list. Casey Mears tends to run very well. That's in that B, that mid-cost range. And then when you look at some of the guys that are a little less expensive, Landon Castle tends to be very good at these racetracks. So, I think you throw him into the mix, and perhaps even an Alex Bowman, although, he's a little bit more costly than, say, a Landon Castle. But, an Alex Bowman, he's going to be in a fast race car. He's motivated to be up front. So I think, those are some of the ones that I've got to look at and then just see, how do I balance out whether it's my Yahoo team on the ABC classification and then on the NASCAR.com where I stack up in the $100 that I have to allocate and just maximize that.
And Bowman's best finish at Talladega is 16th. Winston, should be crazy this weekend. To pick my winner, I'm probably just going to close my eyes and point at a board and then see where it is. But who do you think wins this race this weekend?
Oh, man, trying to pick one individual winner, if I had to go with one, odds would say Brad Keselowski, but I cannot tell you the last time somebody has won 3 of the 4 plate races. So I think the odds work against him that doesn't happen. So I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth.
All right, Matt Kenseth in victory lane this weekend. Winston, looking forward to working with you this weekend, and have a safe trip into work this morning.
All right, we'll look forward to it, guys. See you this weekend.
All right, Winston Kelley, everyone. Love having him on the show. He brings great perspective, especially since he's there. He's been there every single race at Talladega. He knows that these guys, what their strategies are and what their tendencies are, which is a good value in fantasy.
Yeah, and if you go back and look at the history books at Talladega Superspeedway, I mean, you can go back all the way to 1969 and look at, trends and everything, but the big thing that you have to also think about is after 1988 was when the restrictor plate era began. So everything is I don't know to this day, and I've been doing the show for 4 years, and I don't think I've ever been fully solid on the picks that I want to take going into a race like Talladega.
I don't know if I've ever had a good finish at a restrictor plate track. Anyways, our final break after we'll have that under the rock thing you do, and then of course Rango Fowler will join us, and then our winners. You're watching the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
The Inside Line will return in just a moment.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
O'Reilly. A dead battery can leave you stranded, so get yours tested for free during Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Need a replacement? Purchase a Superstart Extreme or Superstart Platinum battery and get up to $25 in O'Reilly gift cards after a mail-in rebate. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Victory Junction was young race driver Adam Petty's dream. He worked toward building a camp where children with serious medical conditions could concentrate on fun and not their illness or disease. When he died tragically, his family and friends around NASCAR made sure that dream came true. Today, Victory Junction is a camp that provides fun, life-changing experiences to children dealing with illnesses and disabilities, all at no cost to the camper. Help us serve more children by visiting victoryjunction.org.
Welcome back to the Inside Line. Here are your hosts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Welcome back to the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires. I'm Robbie Mays. He's Tyler Burnett. And speaking of Tyler Burnett, it's time for our favorite game of the week, Under a Rock or Tyler.
Do you live your life up under a rock? Or are you Tyler Burnett?
We've been trying to figure this out in the commercial. I still think you're below 500, and even if you're not, you're still below 500. This week it's a photo. I need the actor's name.
See, now, how are you going to throw, you got to have this or you got to have this? I mean,
I need the actor's name.
Like his real name.
His real name. So let's cue it up, and let's play Under a Rock or Tyler.
See, how are you going to throw out real names of actors?
I need a real name for that actor.
I mean, I know what movie that is. I know what his character name was, but
okay.
I don't know who the actor was.
I need the actor's name.
Oh, I'm not going to get it. So
you're just giving up?
Is that that's Star Wars?
Yes.
Right? Is that Luke Skywalker?
That is Luke Skywalker. Both of those pieces of information are correct, but I need the person's name.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not even going to guess.
That's a loss.
All right. Who was it?
Mark Hamill.
I would have never have guessed that in my entire life. I mean, we could have went 60 years and I wouldn't have guessed that. What are we doing?
Bring on the chicken.
What did you say his name was?
Mark Hamill.
Let's poll. We'll start a Twitter poll. Who the heck knows who Mark Hamill is? What other movies did he play in?
Twitter.com/MRN Fantasy right now. Do you know who Mark Hamill is?
What other movies did he play in?
Star Wars.
That's it?
basically.
Okay, I saw the first Star Wars movie, and that's it.
Rango has Tony Stewart. He has Brad Keselowski. He has Austin Dillon. He has Jimmy Johnson. He has Chris Buescher. And his winner is the number 2 of Brad Keselowski.
All right. So Rango has Keselowski.
Yes.
Winston has Matt Kenseth. Who does Robbie Mays have?
I want to know who Tyler Burnett has first.
Well, Rango took my pick. I thought Keselowski would make history and win the race.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Martin Truex Jr.
Okay.
is my winner this weekend. I think he finally wins a plate race, and I think that, he might. Has he won a plate race before?
Martin Truex Jr.? No.
Okay.
No.
So I think Martin Truex Jr. wins his first plate race this week.
Okay. I am going with a guy who is looking for his very first win in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and he needs it to be able to advance into the chase. I'm going Austin Dillon to win this weekend.
All right, Austin Dillon. I like Chase Elliott. I mean, I think he's got a good shot to win this week. I think, of course, Brad Keselowski is a great pick as well. So those are our winners. Sprint Cup Series practice coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Final practice at 4:30 today. And then, of course, the Camping World Truck Series, Fred's 250 at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And then Sprint Cup Series qualifying coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern. The Hellmann's 500 on Sunday. Pre-race starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. Robbie, it's going to be wild.
I'm looking forward to Talladega. I think the elimination format for the Truck Series and the Sprint Cup Series at Talladega, this is a great race. This is one of my favorite weekends of the year, and I'm looking forward to it.
For all of us on the Inside Line and the Motor Racing Network, Daryl Smith, our producer, thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week. We'll see you then here on the Inside Line.
You've been listening to The Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tires. Stream us every Friday on MotorRacingNetwork.com or on the MRN app. The Inside Line is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center, or download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Inside Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.